Hi, my name's Rob O'Byrne and welcome to the next video in the series of using outsourcing to help you grow your business. In this video, I'd like to talk about getting started with your VA. We've talked about the reasons for getting a VA, how to source them, how to select them, some of the tasks that you might be giving them. Now let's see what it's like, in those first weeks. And let me give you some really good tips on getting off to a great start. So we've talked a little bit about the tasks, and I would start off with some easy tasks first. So nothing that's too high risk, nothing that's going to damage your business, but some things that are relatively easy and will give you back a lot of time. So you're starting to get a payback already. We talked about having some training. So I would get this training material ready for those tasks. And it doesn't need to take long. If you're doing a video, 10 minutes or so to shoot a video. Get all of that ready. And then we're starting on day one, and I would try to have a pack of information ready for them about your business. So you might want to talk them through the business face to face, or you might want to have them go and look at your website and then have a chat later. But really on day one, you've got to be giving them right up front a very clear indication of what the business is about, what's really important, who are your clients, what are your products, where are they going to fit into the team, what's their key role. You would have talked about some of this at the interview. But it's like if you started a new job, you'd kind of want to know who's who, where do I fit in, what are the key roles that I'm fulfilling, how are you going to allocate tasks to me, how are you going to measure my performance, and so on. So let's talk about tasks. There are some great ways to allocate tasks, and there's some really good software out there, a lot of it designed for the sort of virtual assistant industry. So you might want to have, and there are loads of these. I'm going to put down a couple, but there's one called Basecamp. There's another one called Trello. There's another one that we use called Smartsheet. That's really cool because it's a bit like an online spreadsheet. And project planner. And so I would advise from day one that you start using some sort of online tool, and so that you're posting up the tasks that you want done, and your VA can be posting up when they're completed, or posting up the completed work or whatever it may be. Because if you get like me and you've got 8 VAs supporting you, it's very easy to sort of lose track of, did I ask you to do this, and that kind of thing. My team's often laughing at me. So yeah, you asked me to do that last week and it's done. So they use all of this. I'm not so good at using it myself. That actually raises a point, because as you get into utilizing virtual assistants, you're going to hire more and more. You'll get to a point where you're going to need a team leader. So I have a team leader and 7. So now I'm generally talking to the team leader more than the team members. So put your tasks up on different types of software to manage those. Also be very clear about your priorities. You've got to understand that, particularly in the early days, they don't necessarily appreciate what your priorities are. You have to tell them, don't ever forget to do this by the end of the day. Or if this happens, drop everything, because that's really important. So my team know very clearly that things related to sales are the number one priority, things related to branding, things related to marketing, and so on. So give them some very clear priorities. And then the other thing that I do is to get them to do an end of day report. And in there, I get them to write down all of the tasks they've been working on today, whether they got completed or what percentage was completed. I'm halfway through redoing that web page or whatever that might be. I also get them to prioritize them. Those are my priorities, 1, 2, 3s. At the bottom, I get them to put any questions they have or any support they need. And that brings me on to a really, really important thing. Probably the most important thing in a VA relationship. Just like being with a family member or a work colleague in your office, everything comes down to trusting each other. Just think about that for a moment. How are you going to work with someone remotely, get them to trust you and for you to trust them? Okay, takes a while, but there's a few little things that I started doing right from day one that worked well, and it became a mantra. So my very first VA, so many years ago, it was her first job. She was straight out of university, only 19, full of energy, full of determination, but probably scared to death, to be honest, as she told me later. Scared to death of screwing up and this type of thing. But we worked together for 5 years, and she went on to, you know, much bigger and better things. Fantastic relationship. Right from day one, I would finish every conversation with, do you understand that? Do you have any questions? If you're not sure, just ask. You see, one of the cultural challenges, whether you have a VA in India or Philippines or somewhere else, you've got to remember they probably come from, you know, a background which is a lot poorer than yours. They're working with this, you know, like to them, very senior, very successful business person, and they're desperate not to screw up. They don't want to make a mistake, and they don't want to admit, you know, any failings or anything like that, because they're scared of getting sacked. So particularly in, you know, in the first part of the relationship. So you've got to break all that down. You have got to show them that it's okay to not know stuff, and it's okay to ask. And within, you know, the first few days of working with my very first VA, you know, at the end of the conversation, I'd be saying, "Now, have you got any questions?" She said, "Yep, I know. Any questions? Just ask." And she would ask a lot, which was good, because I would much rather clarify something straight up than have her work 2 or 3 hours and maybe not do what I really wanted. So there are lots of, you know, you'll think of lots of different ways of building that trusting relationship. In the early days, I would talk to my VA 2 or 3 times a day, either on Skype, or what I do is they all have local telephone numbers. So if you're not up to the technology, it's called VoIP. This is basically a telephone system using the internet. So all of my team have local phone numbers. So I'm based in Sydney, they all have Sydney phone numbers. It costs a pittance, to be honest, to set up. And so the reason I do that is because I want to talk to them when I'm out and about. If I'm sitting in traffic in the car for an hour, I'll talk to them, because that's much better use of my time than just listening to the radio. I hate driving. It's such dead, wasted time. I can't do any work. I can't read my emails. I'll get arrested. You know, not allowed to use your phone while you're driving. So I might make a few calls to customers, but I will generally be calling my team as well. How's that going? You know, need any help with something? It's a chance as well for me, if I'm sitting in the car and I'm not, you know, stressed out trying to get through my own work. I know I'm stuck in the car for an hour. I can actually kind of chill a bit and just have a chit chat with them. And, you know, what do you do at the weekend? And, you know, like you would with anyone in the office. You know, take an interest in what they're doing. Take an interest in their families, you know. How's your dog? I heard your dog was sick. You know, whatever it might be. And that way, you know, you're going to build a very trusting, close relationship. So absolutely important. If there's one word out of this video, that's it. You've got to learn to trust each other. I mean, it's obviously totally up to you how the relationship develops, but within a few months, my VA had all my credit card details, not quite my bank account details, but certainly all the credit card details, because she was booking hotels and flights and ordering stuff online for me. You know, when you've got confidence in your VA and the trust is there, you know, you can consider doing things like that. I'm just saying that as an example of how trusting a relationship can be. I have never, ever been let down by any of my team in terms of trust. Never. In 8-10 years. So, you know, treat people well, they treat you well. So we've talked about Getting started, we talked about, get some easy tasks ready for them, get some training ready on day one, be very clear in your instructions, what you want done, maybe use a system, explain your priorities, get them to do end-of-day reports, do everything possible in the early stages to build that trust without crowding them and swamping them, and that will get you off to a really, really good start. In the next video, we're going to talk about, what does this cost you? How much do you have to pay them?